Legendary. Yours might be too spicy. I know it's spicy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to, it's hard to believe already, the final meeting of May 27, 2024, in terms of City Council. Individuals interested in participating in this evening's meeting were eligible to register online using the delegation registration form at www.kitchener.ca/delegation or via email at delegation@kitchener.ca. Any written comments received prior to the commencement of this evening's meeting have been circulated to members of council and will form part of the public record. The meeting live stream and archive videos are available at www.kitchener.ca/watchnow. Before we begin this evening's meeting, I'd like to acknowledge that this evening we're gathering on the traditional territory of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We recognize our responsibility to serve as stewards for the land and honor the original caretakers who came before us. Our community is enriched by the enduring knowledge and deep-rooted traditions of the diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit in Kitchener today. On motion by Councillor Ioannidis, the minutes of the regular meeting held April 29, 2024, and special meetings held April 29, 2024, as mailed to the Mayor and Councillor are adopted. Those in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Sorry? Oh, thank you. Oops. Almost missed our national anthem because we did it earlier this evening. So if I can now invite everyone to stand as they're able for the singing of our national anthem. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll now note the communications referred to file with respect to the flag requests. And we'll move into presentations, and we have, as you can see, sorry? Oh, yes, I missed that. You have a special meeting with students, and it kind of throws you for the rest of the evening. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councillor Singh.
Yeah, 7.1.B, 131 Victoria Street South for designation for heritage, as I own property pretty much adjacent to that one, as well as 7.4.C, that's related to the sign bylaw, if that can have a split vote on items related to the real estate industry to be voted on separately.
Okay. Thank you. Those have been noted. We'll now move into presentations, and as you'll notice, we all have red t-shirts in front of us, and some, in fact, are wearing them for Red Week, which is coming up with the St. Mary's General Hospital Foundation on June the 7th. And it's my pleasure to welcome Courtney Parker and Nico Giorgio to do a presentation.
Also Jamie Wilson.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Jamie wasn't on my list, but welcome.
Thank you, and thanks all of you for having us here this evening. We're really excited to chat with you about Red Day. So my name is Jamie Wilson, as I've already told you, and I'm the Vice President of Philanthropy at St. Mary's General Hospital Foundation. My colleagues behind me and my son Henry is here too.
Hey, Henry, thanks for being a voice of support tonight.
So, as I mentioned, we're really grateful to be here today. This year, Red Day is on Friday, June 7th. And Red Day really is a movement. So it's a rallying of the community around preventative heart education, evaluation of lifestyle and health, where we wear red, we assemble teams, we go out into the community, we promote Red Day, and ultimately we raise funds to help support the needs at St. Mary's General Hospital. So we've been fortunate enough, let me just advance the slide here, to have a partnership with Manulife for over 2 decades at this point. And what that has allowed us to do is they've supported Red Day for a number of years. So through their donation to Red Day, what they do is they match all community donations up to $200,000. We were able to use that donation, of course, to leverage donations from the community, raising a total of almost $4.6 million to date through our partnership with Manulife. So we are so grateful to have them. So this, of course, allows us to make significant investments in healthcare, specifically at St. Mary's. And this year, Red Day funds will support our newly established Prevent Clinic. So what Prevent Clinic is, it's a program aimed at preventing cardiac risks for patients without a primary care provider. So we know that approximately 6,500 individuals in this community presently do not have a primary care provider, most of which are newcomers to Canada, some students exiting their academics where they don't have access to that health component they did in their studies, unhoused individuals, and racialized communities, of course. So partnerships such as the one with Manulife are critical to the health of our community. So as Manulife supports us, we're able to leverage that support from our community members and again support healthcare in this region. In case you didn't know, our government funds operational costs at our hospital. So what that means is our community is responsible for the purchase of new equipment as well as replacement equipment at St. Mary's Hospital. So a day like Red Day is fundamental to the health of our community. So how can you get involved? I know you're wondering. So Wear Red is a great example, as we all are, and now you have your Red Day shirts, so we expect to see you wearing them on the 7th. Also, in order for us to see you wearing them, we ask that you promote Red Day as well. So maybe engage on your social channels, talk your family into wearing red perhaps, assemble a team, host an event. And most importantly, of course, is to fundraise. If you're able to make a small donation or even a large one, inspire your neighbors and community to do so. Manulife will match all donations on Friday, June 7th, up to $200,000. So Red Day also it's not just for the community. It's a large morale-building exercise as well within the hospital doors. Our frontline team absolutely loves Red Day. There's a number of activities that go on throughout the week that includes unit decorating contests, for example. Our team wears red, they engage in photo booths, we treat them to ice cream, and it's really about rallying the community, rallying our healthcare workers around this very important day called Red Day. So thank you, and I hope to see you all wearing your shirts and seeing you on social on Friday, June 7th.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming in this evening and for the presentation. We do have at least one question. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's actually a comment, if that's okay.
Please go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for the amazing work that you do at St. Mary's. Red Day has been, I think you said it was 20 years. I know it's been quite some time. And I actually have a resident who works in the cardiac care ward there. She's incredible. I will wear my red shirt with her. We're going to go get some pictures taken. She doesn't know that yet, but you really are doing incredible work in this community. Thank you for highlighting the fact that not everybody has access to a physician, and that's really important. So our hospitals really fill so many needs in the community. So thank you. This is incredible. Have a great Red Day on June 7th, and thanks for coming tonight.
Great, thank you.
More questions or comments? Councillor Deneau.
Thank you, Mr.
So Henry has a question too.
Where'd you get the name from?
Red Day? Mom, do you want to answer that?
I mean, I don't know for sure. This was before my time because I'm only 20, of course. But I would guess it's around the representation of the cardiac program,
Yeah,
which
heart
is
and all that.
fundamentally what it supports, what Red Day supports, prior to our Prevent Clinic, which is largely a preventative play, which is exciting. It's different than what we usually see. Healthcare is usually a reactive business. Yeah, it's heart health in general.
There you go. I learned the hard way, Mom, from my mom talking to the media when I first announced I was going to run for the mayor, and I ended up getting a hard question from the media then, so that my mom caused. So in your case, it's Henry that's causing it. So it's always those family members you got to watch out for.
I mean, lessons learned.
Jason, you have a question or comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A bit of both. And thank you for everything you folks do for St. Mary's and for our community. So my first question is, of the money that has been raised, does that go back into direct community services, or does it stay at St. Mary's, or does it get spread around the region?
It'll stay at St. Mary's, and it'll fund primarily equipment needs. In this case, it's the Prevent Clinic, but it's primarily gone to equipment needs at the hospital.
Okay.
This specifically is unique, of course. We haven't seen this in our community, and the money won't necessarily go to other community partners, but we have and will continue to engage a large number of community partners in order to educate and get the word out. So we have reached out to our urgent care clinics, for example, our paramedicine program, our KW4, and the list goes on. So it's really, although we're not monetarily supporting, we're coming together as partners in the community to do something preventative for our community's health.
Awesome. And the only reason I ask that is I've had some discussions with staff about AED devices and the lack thereof in most of our workplaces. And so, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for St. Mary's, specifically because you are a cardiac hospital in the area, to work with some community organizations to talk about to bring more of awareness of AED devices in workplaces, and to promote the accessibility in some of our workplaces across the community. So just kind of put a plug there for the rest of council here that I bring forward that motion a little bit. But
you can always ask, right?
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Thank you. Again, thank you for what you folks do.
Thank you.
Awesome. Those are all the questions. So please pass on our thanks to all of you at the foundation, as well as all in the cardiac care department for the wonderful work that's being done to support residents in our community and beyond. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, and see you on Red Day.
Yes, absolutely. Some of us will be at the FCM conference out of town, so we'll make a reminder for those around the Horseshoe. Remember to take your red shirt, and we'll take a picture in Calgary or something and go from there. So With that, we'll move on to delegations. To all delegations, while public participation is welcomed at meetings, we're committed to engaging in respectful and constructive dialogue with members of the community, and conducting yourself in any of the following manners may result in an immediate removal from the meeting: interrupting the mayor, councillors, staff, or other delegations, derogatory comments about the mayor, councillors, staff, or others, and/or hate speech or defamatory comments. One last reminder for delegations: please do not take offense if following your presentation there are no questions from council. This is council's time to really listen and reflect upon the opinions and ideas shared with us from our community members. And I just want to finally remind delegations that you have 5 minutes to make your presentation. We have one delegation this evening, and that's on regard to animal control investigations by the Kitchener-Waterloo Humane Society, and that's Dr. Marie Hardy. Welcome, Dr. Hardy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members, and allowing me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My area of concern concerns how dog bite investigations are carried out by the Humane Society of Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth, known as the KW Humane Society. I would ask that members of council consider reviewing their partnership with the KW Humane Society with regards to their effectiveness and thoroughness in investigating dog bites. It's imperative that their investigations and their standards of practice are consistent in order to ensure public safety from dangerous dogs. My background is that some of the research that I've done on this is in Waterloo Region. Animal control services are run by cities and townships. So when a dog attacks an animal or another animal or a person, it's the animal control services that investigate. These investigations can designate a dog as dangerous, potentially dangerous, and they're very important as they put restrictions on the animals, often a dog, which aids in protecting the public from future attacks. The KW Humane Society is responsible for animal control for the City of Kitchener. On May 24, 2023, I was bitten by a dog in Woolwich Township in an unprovoked attack and have permanent damage to my left hand. The KW Humane Society was responsible for this investigation, and it was determined after a short period of time that no further investigation was required, so there's no restrictions on the dog. I had to file a Freedom of Information Act to try to understand how this decision was reached, and the record that I received was incomplete and had inaccurate information. The KW Humane Society has a comprehensive form, and I attached that as well. So there's 4 pages that is called the Case Complaint Information Form, and it indicates in bold letters that it is mandatory to use this during a dog bite investigation involving a human victim or another animal. It also involves the investigator to meet with the dog to make notes on the animal behavior, and cases are not to be closed until all this information is collected. So this dog that attacked me was not visited, a witness was not interviewed, these forms were not used during the attack, and it's my professional opinion as a veterinarian with clinical practice of 44 years in this area that this is a very serious error. Dog bites and attacks are very serious. They are serious physically and emotionally, and the City of Kitchener also contracts KW Humane Society to investigate dog bites. Things that I have thought about is that it would be important for any council that is employing someone to do their dog bite investigations to understand what their process is, what their standard of practice is with regard to the investigation of dog bites. The case complaint information form should be used in all cases. And one thing that's not done by them at this point is public health, and I gave you a form of public health bites over the last 6 years, and we average in Waterloo Region probably 1 dog bite that's reported per day, and there's probably another 2 or 3 that are never reported because it's your neighbor's dog, or there's lots of reasons people don't report them, but anything that ends up going to the hospital has to be reported through public health so that there is a quarantine period after that. So that, if they ask about those questions, that speaks to risk of repeat behavior. They should review medical records, and there should be an appeal. There's an appeal process. I watched your programs on your appeal progress when people have a dog and they think it's been designated and they don't want it designated that. There's no appeal process for me, the victim, when I see an animal is not investigated properly and I can't do anything about it. I was told to go to the court system. The incidence of serious and deadly dog attacks has increased in municipalities in Ontario, and the goal of animal bylaws is to protect the public. They must be investigated by qualified people, done in a timely fashion, and bylaws must be enforced. I added a link. You read a recent report in Quebec where the municipality was sued by the person who was attacked by the dog owner and the municipality. So you should know what we're paying for. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in this evening and sharing your concerns with us. I do note that our Director of Bylaw Enforcement is here, and she certainly has heard the presentation as well, and she manages our contract with the KW Humane Society, and will certainly take that under advisement in terms of the ongoing work that we have with the Humane Society.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in this evening. Okay, we'll move into reports of committees, and we have Councillor Chapman. I believe you're bringing that forward.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to vote on 7.1 separately. Do I first bring the motion forward and then ask for that?
Yep, and we'll have to deal with, whatever you want dealt with separately, and we have to deal with 7.1.b separately because of the conflict.
Okay. So it's been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Michaud that the report of Heritage Kitchener dated May 7th will be considered, I guess, or be approved, but we'll vote separately on 7.1 and 7.1b, you said?
So we have to deal with B separately, and which one do you want dealt with separately?
1A.
1A? Yeah. Okay. So I guess that only leaves the other one. So I will deal with 7.1.c first. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I'll now come back to 7.1.a. Councillor Chapman, do you have some additional comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a few comments.
Yep.
This came to Heritage Kitchener. There were a few concerns that I thought it was important to make known here. First of all, it's an example of what is referred to often as facadism, where the outsides of the walls are preserved and the rest is demolished, which from the view of many Heritage Committee members, this is a practice that should be avoided. It's a beautifully well-maintained building. It is a building that's listed on the Heritage. It's not designated, but it's listed as a heritage property worthy of consideration. In fact, there was a notice of intention to designate the property on April 8th, 2024, but it hasn't yet been approved, that notice of intention. So it's not designated, yet it does have 6 of 9 criteria to be designated. In order for a property to be considered for designation, I believe that you have to have 3 criteria that work in its favor. So the view not of the whole committee, that's why it's here. It didn't pass unanimously, so that's why it's come to us today. So I wanted to give you that background, and I won't be supporting the designation or the demolition of this.
But it did, just so we have clarity, it did have the support of the committee, just not the unanimous
not
support.
unanimously. So if it were unanimous, it wouldn't be here today, but
Okay.
it was not unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Davey?
Right, just by way of comment, not necessarily to this item, although perhaps it could be in the future. I referenced it in the past, but there's been some pretty significant leaps and strides. I know it's not going to satisfy heritage purists, but in terms of preservation, there's been some significant leaps and strides in stitching together photos and being able to recreate our landmarks in virtual reality, and even photos that are taken today as the technology improves. The sense of place, in my estimation, now is pretty astounding, but they will be able to extrapolate it further in the future for future devices to be able to recreate these. So when we come to situations like this that may be controversial, I would guess I would put to our members of the Heritage Committee to maybe perhaps explore that in situations where they do think that we are losing something.
Okay, thank you. On this one, Councillor Deneau?
Yeah, I guess my question is, what of the inside is, I guess, significant heritage designation? So they're keeping the outside, right?
Sorry, who can answer that? Mr. Weidman or Mr. Stevenson?
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to? There we go.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in the Heritage Kitchener report, it was identified that some of the exterior elements are in the architectural style of the building. So it includes the red brick, the rectangular plan, 11 bays along Dew Street and 6 along Queen, 8-12 windows with limestone stills, main entrance door, transom, the limestone between the second and third floors, and the parapet. There also are interior elements that are proposed to be reused within the redevelopment. There's brass elements, including the stair railing, newel post caps, and wall grills, and then there's Roman travertine tile in the vestibule entrance and lobby.
Okay, so I guess my question is not to you, Mr. Stevenson, but to Councillor Chapman. So what is the main concern? Why wasn't it unanimous to in the vote? Like,
Because
what is the concern of the inside?
items that I just mentioned, that people were concerned about the destruction or the demolition of the. If I'm not mistaken, there are 2 facades that will remain. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the proposal is for a partial demolition and the retention of the front, the east side, and a portion of the west side. So the front and the east sides are the 2 facades that face the public realm. The removal is for the rear and the partials of the west side. This property is not designated under the Ontario Heritage Act. It is listed as a property of cultural heritage interest, and Council did pass a notice of intention to designate, and staff have reviewed a site plan application and are prepared to support a 45-story building here. The discussion at Heritage Kitchener did talk about the increased use of facadism when there is retention of heritage resources. While we have seen a couple of examples in the recent past with many multiple dwelling buildings being developed within our core as a result of the lifting of the DCs, I don't think we'll see that forever moving forward. It is one part of cultural conservation, but not the preferred. So staff are supportive of proceeding with the designation so that the building and the architectural features that will remain will be protected forever under the designation, and that we can regulate and add conditions through the site plan approval process to protect those features during construction.
And just to be clear, when you talk about the sides, you're talking about the Duke and the Queen Street facades?
That's correct.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Deneau. Councillor Michaud.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder, is there a photo, Mr. Stevenson, that we could show council of the rendering of what the building's going to look like?
Maybe not.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the Heritage Impact Assessment, as well as the photos and renderings and redevelopment concepts, were attached to the Heritage Kitchener report.
Yeah.
This is just a motion that's being brought forward, so there are no visuals, but I can send a link to the clerk potentially for that report if that's of help.
It's okay. I just thought it would be nice for council to see. I'm not on the same side as Councillor Chapman with this regards. I mean, I think that they're maintaining enough of the heritage significance and the feel of it, and I do think that sometimes buildings like this when they are going to preserve the facade, and they're going to do as much as they can to keep the feel of the heritage piece, it just adds more interest to the downtown core as it continues to grow and we continue to put up homes. And to Councillor Davies' point with regards to photos, I think that was brought up before. I'm not sure if it was at Heritage or here, but I think it's something that the committee should perhaps explore. Thanks.
Okay. And just to be clear, the recommendation in front of us is to do a partial demolition, and that's what was supported by the committee, but just not unanimous. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, I'm glad that Councillor Michaud is in support of the recommendation as she sits on the Heritage Committee. I think she summarized it well. I wish all of us could have seen, or, obviously, I'm sure you guys have looked at the report, but the way the building is going to be, I guess, retained or preserved of those heritage attributes probably will conserve the real significance of the heritage character, maybe far better than what it would if we did nothing at all. And the added advantage is that there would be more residents that would be living above that would appreciate the significant history of what this building is. So I think we have to look broader than limiting on, in a narrower scope of just preservation, but rather appreciation of the heritage as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Deneau.
Thank you. Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I just have one more question. What was in the building formerly? Sorry, Councillor Chapman. What was in the building formerly? Like, was it a post office?
So most recently, it was the offices of Rob Deutschman legal firm, and prior to that, it was an insurance company.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so with that, those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And now I'll deal with 7.1.b with the noted conflict. Those in favor? Opposed? None opposed. One conflict noted. That too is carried. We'll move on to Finance and Corporate Services. Councillor Davey.
Thank you. It's been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bill Ioannidis that the two items from Finance and Corporate Services Committee be adopted.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to Community and Infrastructure Services. Councillor Johnson. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It has been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dave Schneider that the report of the Community and Infrastructure Services Committee dated May 13, 2024, listed as items 7.3.a to 7.3.c on the agenda at this date be adopted.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll now move on to 7.4. I'll ask Councillor Singh to bring it forward. But Councillor Singh, if I can ask you not to move 7.4.c, and we'll get someone else to move that. So you're moving you're moving the rest of it, and the seconder is
Councillor Chapman.
Okay, and then Councillor Chapman, you'll move 7.4.c, and can I have a seconder for that? Councillor O'Dooney, thank you. Great. So with that, we'll start, Councillor Singh, though in moving it, I believe you have a revised recommendation for 7.4.a? Okay, do you want to bring that forward? Sorry.
Thank you very much. Revised recommendation as stated in the report. On screen here. And once more, it's been moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Chapman.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll deal with that one first.
As well as, of course, 7.4b, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Chapman.
Right. So those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And now I'll deal with 7.4.c, everything except real estate signs. Those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Now I'll deal with real estate signs. Those in favor? Opposed? 1 noted conflict. That too is carried. Thank you, colleagues. Any unfinished business? Any new business? There are no mayoral business or updates. Any questions and answers? We'll move into bylaws. Madam Clerk, are there any additional bylaws?
Through the chair, there are 4 late starter bylaws listed on the agenda, the 2 related to municipal code updates and then 2 related to the Whitney Place with the amendments noted today.
Okay, but none of the items that have conflicts are in the bylaws, correct? Okay, so bylaws moved by... Oh.
Sorry, through the chair. I neglected to mention there's another bylaw related to a committee of the whole report later this agenda with respect to the acting mayor schedule.
Okay, so I should probably pass that first before I do the bylaws. So does somebody want to move the... Yeah, you can. Somebody want to move the report from Committee of the Whole with respect to acting mayor? Moved by Councillor Ioannidis, seconded by Councillor Chapman. All those in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Yes, Councillor Stretch, you now get to be acting mayor sometimes. So with that, we will deal with the additional bylaws as noted. All those, I know I didn't get a mover and seconder. Mover of the bylaws, Councillor O'Dooney, seconded by Councillor Davey. All those in favour? Opposed? That is carried. Moving into Committee of the Whole, on motion, sorry, it's been moved by Councillor Ioannidis that we move into Committee of the Whole. All those in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Actually, need a seconder for that. Sorry? That was the only one. Wow, that was fast. See, so I don't need to rise and report and all that stuff. Oh well, you're done, Bill. There you go. You did such a good job. That is efficient. Thank you, Councillor Ioannidis. Less is more sometimes. We'll move into third reading. We'll move into third reading of the bylaws. With the additional bylaws, Madam Clerk, moved by Councillor Michaud, seconded by Councillor Deneau. All those in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Stretch, and seconded by Councillor Singh. All those in favour? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. 7:45.